Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I am reading The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. It is an excellent book. I'm reading it after having watched the movie, and I wanted to record some of my thoughts chapter by chapter. Alright, so chapter 27 is the final chapter of The Hunger Games, book 1, and I'll give you my quick thoughts on it. So it begins where Katniss is wearing the dress that she got from Cinna. She finally realizes that he gave it to her trying to protect her, making her look girlish and innocent. That's really the only way that he can help her at this point. She meets Peeta, finds out that he has the cane, and Peeta and Katniss are on stage in front of a live audience. They have to watch 3-hour recap of the Hunger Games, all the week's footage leading up to during the Hunger Games. And she wonders before it starts, like, how should she present herself? Should she be, arrogant? Should she be shy? Should she be stunned? She thinks about how the past victors got through it, and she knows that everything she does or says now, until they're out of the Capitol, is going to be on camera and is potentially going to aggravate their dislike for her. So she's getting a little paranoid, which is probably a safe thing. During the 3-hour sequence, she can see a lot of Peeta's missing time when he basically tricks the careers, how he gets involved with that, etc. And then when President Snow appears and gives them their crowns, in front of the camera, he looks all smiley, but his eyes are like snake eyes when he looks directly at her, and so she knows she's not quite out of the woods yet. They go to the president's mansion for a banquet, and then they have a more private interview with Caesar, where it's on broadcast, but it's not in front of a live audience. This is when she realizes that Peeta actually has some sort of prosthesis leg. We don't know too much about it at this point, or if it's permanent. I would imagine that if they were able to clone the dead, the DNA from the other tributes, that they would be able to do something better for him than giving him like a bionic leg. But we'll see what happens there. Then they're on a train heading home. They know that they have to expect some victory ceremonies and some tours in the next coming weeks, but first they just get to be home for a little while. And during one of the rest stops on the way home, Peeta picks her some flowers that remind her of Gale, and so she's confused again. Peeta basically sees that all of this was partly an act, and of course his feelings are hurt. I didn't really expect this sequence to play out right now. I thought they would just get home and then this would all blow up in her face in the next book, which is what I suspect will happen. But that is basically the end. Now, in the About the Author section at the end of the book, I've come to understand that she wrote another series called The Underland Chronicles. I'm not sure if it's related, because the quote in here says she continues to examine the effects of war on young kids or whatnot. So I'll have to check that out. I believe what I'm going to do next is read Catching Fire, which is the second book. Since the movie is obviously not out, I will probably read a good amount, and then I'm not sure if I'll give you my notes on every 2 chapters again, or exactly how I'll pace it out, but I'll figure that out shortly. One note that did not happen in book 1, we didn't get to see any rioting in District 11 as we saw in the movie, so I'm wondering if that maybe came from a later book. I can only imagine. I don't think they're going to put her back into the games again, but I can only imagine that she's probably inciting some sort of rebellion in the districts. We'll see what happens. I'm certainly glad that I did read this book, and I'm very much eager to read the next one, and I will also let you know what I find out about the Underland Chronicles. Alright, and one last thought did occur to me after I had finished this book, and I was getting ready to upload this video, so apologize for another change of scenery. But President Snow, I was thinking a little bit about his name and his background. It seems like all of the people in the Capitol have these complex names, I guess I could say, for lack of a better word. Caesar, Claudius, Effie, Portia, Cinna. These are all, I bet if I look them up, these are all references to some sort of Greek gods or something important. They all have something in common. However, Snow, President Snow, does not. And I'm kind of wondering if he might have come from one of the districts and perhaps been one of the first winners of the games, or maybe one of the middle winners of the games, if this has been going on for 74 years. I wonder if he is doing that. And the reason I say that is because Snow is obviously got a nature reference to it, where Katniss and Thresh and Clove and some of those other names of the folks from the districts have very much nature-based names. So I'm wondering if President Snow was, if we're going to find out that President Snow was a tribute at one point, and that part of his motivation for being so hard on them has to do with what happened to him in the games. Total wild speculation, and we will look forward to the answer in Book 2, Catching Fire. See you then.